you're there for that very potent experience. You're so young, and you wrote so many classic sketches. What are a few of your favorites from that era, say 76 to 80, a couple that just resonated with people, but they also were personal favorites of yours?
Well, a lot of, in those days, almost everything was written by groups of people, because it was a small writing staff. So I think we had like maybe 9 writers, maybe, and so we'd write. So a lot of things were the product of 2 or 3 writers. Things that I wrote entirely by myself. That I began to develop a specialty that of foreign language pieces.
Yes.
I wrote a game show called Quien es Más Macho, which was
I remember that.
it started with a friend of mine who grew up in Colombia and who speaks just 6 languages fluently, but he used to tell me just the hilarious stories about American television shows from the 50s that he grew up watching, and their Spanish titles. I don't know. I know. I mean, I love the Spanish language. It's actually a majestic sounding
Beautiful,
language,
gorgeous musical language.
I know it's much more. It's a much grander language than English, but there's something about American 50s stuff. So like, there was a show, now maybe you've heard about it. I'm sure no one in this room is old enough to have actually seen it. Now, I'm barely old enough, but Sea Hunt, starring Lloyd Bridges, who was the father of Jeff Bridges. And it was about a guy who was a scuba diver and the different things he does. This is the 1950s. And the Spanish title was Investigador Submarino. and then there was the fugitive with David Jansen, and my friend would go, El Fugitivo con David Jansen. And so and I'm trying to remember but there was a bunch of Los Intocables. The Untouchables.
Untouchables, yeah.
And Los Intocables con Roberto Stack. and so this shit just cracked me up. And so, and then the other thing was, we started talking about the concept of macho, and it began with, we were watching Welcome Back, Kotter. And I said to my friend, the guy who, Horshack, or Mr. Cotter, whatever that guy.
That was Barbarino.
Oh,
Barbarino.
Mr. Cotter.
I was like too old for Welcome
You were
Back
too
Kotter,
old for Welcome Back Kotter.
This maybe
and I'm
you guys
watching
can
it in
keep me
grade
honest,
school.
but there was someone whose character was sort of effeminate or something. Wasn't there? Yeah, who is that guy?
Might have been Horshack.
Yeah, I think it was
Horshack.
Okay,
Yeah.
I don't know. But anyway, I just said.
Played by Ron Palillo.
I just said.
Oh, good.
I just said.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was like Ron Palillo no es muy macho, and that started this thing where we started getting into macho. So the idea was, it was a game show, and the questions, you won or lost by guessing correctly who was more macho of 2 different celebrities. And the whole point was just to do a sketch entirely in Spanish.
Yes.
So that Bill Murray played the host, and Gilda was one of the contestants, and Ricky Nelson was the host. But my favorite part of that piece, the part, when you look back at your old stuff, there's 2 kinds of comedy writers: those who crack up at everything they write and everything they think of. They can barely get through a pitch because they're laughing way harder than any of their listeners. And then there's some, and I'm of the other type, which is I never laugh at my own stuff because I'm too nervous, but maybe if I have distance on it years later, I go, come on, that was fucking funny. But it was the part of the show where now let's meet the contestants, so we've done a round of it was like I can't remember the Spanish words, puntas, ¿Quién es más macho? Fernando Lamas o Ricardo Montalban? Tienes más macho, llamas, Montalban. And it's like Ricky Nelson, Fernando Lamas? Oh, Ricardo Montalban es un poquito más macho. And so then it was like, now let's meet the contestants. So he goes up, and this is the thing that made me laugh. It was it's Gilda, and it's like, and she's fucking so brilliant. She was like that giggly kind of excited. And he's calming her down in Spanish, and he goes, and I forget the Spanish of it, but he says, what do you do? I'm a housewife, and he goes, ¿Qué profesión es tu esposo? What does your husband do? My husband, mi esposo exterminador. An exterminator. He goes, oh, verdad. Exterminador es profesión muy macho. and she goes, and it's like, ¿Qué tipo insectos extermina? What kind of insects does he exterminate? Oh, cucarachas, mosquitos, todos los insectos.